The foreshadowing of the corona outbreak was predicted by a Korean man on November 28, 2019, and the peculiarity is that the Korean government conducted illegal inspections as a separate case under the judgment that the government's policy position in relation to judicial structure reform and the recreation of the government was not beneficial. This is a case in which information was obtained. In addition, this man was confirmed by the KNIS of the Chun-Doo-Hwan administration at the time, which caught the fact that he had the ability to predict during the Chun-Doo-Hwan regime in 1981. In Jing-il, and with the help of a colonel in the US FK 501st Signal Interception Unit, with whom his father was close, disguised this ability as a coincidence and was able to survive the military regime. Afterwards, the man learned how to live while hiding himself through his father's efforts. He has a high IQ of 203, excellent language ability, deciphering ability, cognitive ability, quickness, thinking ability, creativity, foresight ability, and analysis ability, but he is inferior to an ordinary person. Maintain the life of. However, in 2015, the Goyang branch of the Ujeongbu District Court in the Republic of Korea testified to the illegal acts related to the illegal acts of the Korean prosecutors, and was subsequently monitored by the prosecution and the National Intelligence Service. Since 2017, as the President and the prosecution have been at odds in the Republic of Korea since 2017, under the current government, the National Police Agency and the ruling party lawmakers took the lead in asserting the justification for reforming the investigation structure, and public opinion was formed. In relation to the case, the police also had an illegal act on the man, and in the process, the prosecution, the National Police Agency, and the National Intelligence Service all inflicted harm to the man, such as illegal monitoring, hacking, and following. There is a fact that the prosecution quickly transferred the investigation authority to the police when the man secured evidence of the illegality of each institution, and carried out all-round pressure and criminal work. The man who was outraged about this illegal activity in the past began to rekindle his sensory instincts that he had forgotten, and eventually, with his foreknowledge, the man learned that a pandemic would soon occur, and the man went to China on November 20, 2019. He tried to stop it, but the plan was in vain due to persistent work, and this man proved this fact and warned the world by leaving a record on Google several times to inform the world, but this content was concealed, and in the end he risked his life to do it in order to prevent this. On December 2, 2019, he stabbed himself in the stomach with a knife and made a re-warning to a situation in which the government had no choice but to give up. There was a fact that he lied, saying, "I will make an agreement after the end of the contract," and then lured a man in an emergency state to the outside and had him change places and drive for 5 hours. Accordingly, this man distrusts the Korean government and has specific information about the corona outbreak, ACE2. AT2 regulator of endocytosis, baricitinib, G-protein, transcytosis pathway, glycoprotein, hydrolase, phosphate, mannose, dynamin, beta-adaptin, lysosome, adenosine triphosphate hereinafter, ADP, A0-adenosine triphosphate, and Minnesota, Ohio. Johns Hopkins, Massachusetts, University of Michigan, Baltimore hypothesis, 1960s research on influenza virus, 1969's Hong Kong influenza report, confirmation of biochemical warfare using viruses in the 1970s and 1980s, combat clinical, completion of vaccines in the 1990s, development of mutated viruses in the 2000s, limited distribution in the 2010s, vaccine sales in the 2010s, 2020's genetic heterogeneous virus, leading to SARS outbreak vaccine. Region, MERS vaccine. Region, Corona. And then to the other said, the President is not in the Republic of Korea. Say again, the President is not in Korea. H2N3, Ebola, nucleic acid, antidote, protein, influenza, asymptomatic, China, Wuchan, Luncheon's China spec Wuchan. This mean is Wuhan, Johns Hopkins University, German Merck Pharmaceutical Company, Janssen, Italy, Panova University, Northern Hemisphere, Switzerland, Edelweiss, beer, enzyme, corona, RNA, mutation, West Africa, Insan, etc., and in December of the same year, when the news of the corona outbreak was spread through foreign media from China, it was difficult to prove it until then. In order to protect their own safety in the state of predicting a pandemic, they even expressed their will to go to the University of Panova in Italy to find clues about the vaccine, but even that was in vain. In the end, this man showed his wits and asked for information about a document whose title was only disclosed to the Serious Crime Investigation Division of the National Investigation Headquarters of Korea on April 9, 2020, in order to catch the ankle from the National Police Agency, the easiest to catch, 2020. 0413. As expected, a call was received from the person in charge of the National Police Agency, and the person in charge of the National Police Agency identified the document as a document related to the investigation into Qingdao Dunam Hospital, which was designated as the first cohort hospital after the outbreak of Corona-19. The content had nothing to do with men, but how did he know that this document existed, rather than asking his own curiosity? At this time, the man became convinced of his premonition, and obeyed this lie, immediately withdrew the request for the document, and the moment he was about to end the call, he used his telekinesis to prevent the other party's telephone receiver from being disconnected, so he did wiretapping rather than wiretapping. Contrary to the content of the call, the National Investigation Headquarters Serious Criminal Investigation Division found that the document was a document that had nothing to do with Qingdao Dunam Hospital and that the complaint was falsely answered to the claim. Conversation to the effect of inducing withdrawal, the answer was that there was no civilian inspection of the complainant, but by analogy with the contents of the conversation, there was a detailed operation to install a hidden camera in the complainant's house, and the ex-girlfriend who was undercover was arrested 2 days ago. The questionable conversation about how he knew this, and what I did not understand the most in this situation was that he called the current presidential candidate, former Prosecutor General Yoon Suk-yeol, and reported the progress of the investigation. It is notarized and kept as a transcript. Currently, due to prolonged isolation and political oppression, this man has been trying to legally inform this fact for the past 2 years, and he has reported accusations, and even the media. Currently, this man, the man who is writing this article, is requesting asylum, feeling the accumulated fatigue from the long-running judicial killings of the Republic of Korea, and is in desperate need of psychological stability and protection, hoping for asylum in a third country. In any country that adheres to the constitutionalism and constitutionalism, if it is possible to help with entry into a refugee status or asylum to a third country, there is a firm will to contribute to the interests of that country in any way possible. We are desperately seeking humanitarian help. December 5, 2021, 5:10.